this is the point where we need to grow. We need to focus on building memberships. We need to focus on getting in front of as many people in Western Canada as we possibly can. We need to work on seeding a vision of what Western Canada could and honestly should be. We want to show Western Canadians that they have an advocate that will be forceful, honest, and able, really, because that's the problem with our current crop of politicians, is that they're not able to, because their leadership will not allow them to speak on our behalf in a lot of different issues. We don't have that problem because we are only going to be responsible for Western Canada. So we want to grow, we want to build our memberships so that as we approach the next election, whenever it is, that we're ready.
Adam Soos here for Rebel News, and I am joined by the newly minted leader of the Maverick Party, the federal party that is very much advocating for the West on the federal stage. For folks who maybe don't know you, Mr. Colin Krieger, if you could just give us a little bit of an introduction, tell us where you're from, and tell us how you became involved with the Maverick Party in the first place.
My name is Colin Krieger. I am indeed the newly elected leader of the Maverick Party. I am a lifelong Westerner. I grew up in northern Alberta, in a small town in northern Alberta called Valley View. That's where I'm from. I became involved with the Maverick Party and in politics in general during the last federal election, where I ran in my riding, which is Peace River Westlock.
And so just to give people an idea of the sort of scale, how many people are involved in the party, where they're kind of from, how many people voted in this leadership race, and kind of where are they demographically and geographically sort of spread out? Is it rural or is it municipal, across Alberta, across Canada? Mm-hmm. What are we looking at for supporters?
So the Maverick Party is a Western-based party, meaning that we are looking to represent the 4 western provinces of Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, British Columbia, and the 3 northern territories. We have members across all of those places, and approximately 1,500 of them voted in the leadership race.
And so what's a principal sort of core tenet or value among your supporters why they don't feel maybe a mainstream party can represent them or one of the standard legacy parties can represent them? Why are people turning to the Maverick Party?
Well, the Maverick Party was formed on the realization that pretty much from the conception of Confederation that the West has been ignored. We have consistently voted in conservative type politicians, and by and large our interests have never been adequately addressed in the House of Commons. Things like equalization and other questions of equality, really, for the Canadian West.
Tell us a little bit about the other leadership candidate. Is he going to be continuing on Tarek Delnaga, helping with the party, helping with this movement, and talk a little bit about sort of running against him?
Tarek is an amazing individual. I had said it consistently during the leadership race, and I respect him very much. And should he have won, I would have happily have served underneath him, because he is a quality guy, and it was my honor to get to know him over this past year, really. So I want him involved in the party at whatever level he chooses to take.
Now, we have seen a bit of a sort of conservative resurgence since the departure of Aaron O'Toole. Some of these candidates are advocating for freedom, are advocating for Western values, at least ostensibly saying the right things, are advocating for Canadian energy. Do you feel that with some of these candidates, there's potentially a resurgence that some people who are inclined towards the Maverick Party might be saying, oh, well, maybe the Conservatives are there, or do you think it's just more of the same?
Well, obviously people are going to consider these problems. What I would ask them to also consider is, looking at the history of the Canadian West, can we really expect anything to change? Because the core fundamental problems of the Canadian West haven't changed. And is a leader of the Conservative Party of Canada going to be able to change those things for us? My answer to that should be, and is, of course not. Nothing has changed, and so we need a different direction.
And so what is the sort of Maverick Party's plan, their platform to securing sort of Western independence, Western autonomy, some restoration of balance for those out west who've, on many of those talking points you've talked about, have felt alienated by Ottawa?
Yeah. Our position is this. The Maverick Party realizes that at this point in time, what is really necessary is for the provinces, the Western Canadian provinces, to assert the autonomy that they have available to them in order to be able to push back this cancerous federal government overreach that we are experiencing on so many different levels. So we want to be the provincial government's ally in Ottawa. We are going to advocate for such things as the provinces to institute their own pension plans, to have their own police forces, to collect their own taxes and remit to Ottawa their portion rather than sending it all to them. These are things that the provinces could be doing right now, and we would encourage them all to do these things in order to just push back this intrusion of federal power into the provincial sphere.
So you talked a little bit there, obviously Maverick Party being a federal party, but there is some intersection with provincial politics, obviously. What are the sort of implications or ramifications of the Jason Kenney announcement yesterday for the Maverick Party?
I've informed the president of the party of my intention to step down as leader of the United Conservative Party.
Well, for us, really, what we would be hoping for and what we would be watching for is whichever leader takes the reins of the UCP, that he would be, or she, by the way, of course, would be someone who would advocate for, and not just advocate for, but would forcefully work to entrench and to take back these autonomous measures that we have available to us as Albertans.
And have you heard anyone, obviously it's very early in the race, but are there any names out there that sound familiar? Obviously, just this morning, Danielle Smith announced her intention to run. There are rumors Brian Jean may be running. Obviously, some of the other people who are maybe excluded from the UCP, Lowen and Barnes, they might make a return. Have you had conversations with any of those people about the direction and possible relationships with the Maverick Party moving forward?
Not really at this point, no.
So then, just generally speaking, what are the sort of traits, attributes, virtues that you think an Alberta leader would need to sort of go to bat for Alberta on the stage?
Well, integrity is key, of course. An ability to listen to the constituents of the province. Being able to listen is important. Having that, all of these Western values that are really hard baked into our Western culture, of course, is something that we would all want to see. This ability to recognize the hard work and the entrepreneurial spirits of Western Canadians and Albertans, I guess, in this case. These are the things that really are what Albertans are looking for at this point.
Now, we did see very much with the return of Jason Kenney, people were hoping there'd be sort of a renewal and a strengthened Alberta. That has not happened. If someone else comes in, if it's more of the same, is separation entirely on the table for the Maverick Party, leaving Canada, or is there a hope to just work and stay within Canada and make it work?
Our position is clear on this particular issue. As a federal party, honestly, we can't make any province move towards separation. That would be a provincial jurisdiction, and for us to say that we could would be, frankly, not honest. So what our position would be is that we leave that on the province's plate. We wish for them to go as far into these different levels of autonomy, all the way up to and including, by the way, independence. Because if a province decides to secede, it would be done democratically. Obviously, there would have been a referendum and it would have been passed democratically. And as a democratic supporting party, it would be silly if we didn't support it. So yes, we would support any province at the federal level that decided to go the route of independence.
And so practically, what is the plan moving forward for the Maverick Party, let's say by the next federal election in the short term? What practical steps are on the horizon?
So for us, really at this point, I ran on it during my campaign, and it is clear. This is the point where we need to grow. We need to focus on building memberships. We need to focus on getting in front of as many people in Western Canada as we possibly can. We need to work on seeding a vision of what Western Canada could and honestly should be. We want to show Western Canadians that they have an advocate that will be forceful, honest, and able, really, because that's the problem with our current crop of politicians, is that they're not able to, because their leadership will not allow them to speak on our behalf in a lot of different issues. We don't have that problem because we are only going to be responsible for Western Canada. So we want to grow, we want to build our memberships so that as we approach the next election, whenever it is, that we're ready. And I'm really looking forward to this process.
Well, Colin Krieger, thanks so much for this update, and thanks for joining us. I also want to extend a thank you to Fresh and Local Market Farm for letting us meet here today and do this interview. And as always, I want to thank you all for tuning in. Last word?
Thanks, and it was great to be here, and this is a great place. Thanks for showing me.
Awesome, thanks. For Rebel News, I'm Adam Soos. If you want to represent Rebel News proudly, go to rebelnewsstore.com. You can get the same shirt I'm wearing now. We've got tons of funny shirts, political shirts, all that good stuff. So go to rebelnewsstore.com right now.